welcome back to News Jarvis Show.
Hi friends, welcome back to On Air with Jarvis, the podcast of all things Warhammer and general stuff I find of interest. Joining me this week is no other than the Tau fangirl herself, Dusky. How's it going?
Going good. Don't ever call me a Tau fangirl ever again.
You know, I have to ask, it's like when you were getting into Warhammer, out of all the factions that make you want to say it doesn't exist or it's not canon, why is it the Tau?
Oh, why do I just have a seething hatred for the Tau?
Then again, almost everyone does, and that's like the only faction out of all of the 40k fanbase that's been relentlessly memed and mocked for.
I mean, the main reason on why I just don't really care for the Tau and actively have written them out of a certain thing is mostly due to the whole rider fiat that goes along with them. They live in one of the most dangerous and out of control areas in the galaxy, with Necrons on one side, Tyranids on the other, the Imperium on another side, the Eldar are looking at them, and there's also orcs. But yet, nothing happens to them.
Ah, but that's because they have the power of anime. That's why.
Oh, I hate that so much.
So I guess you didn't like the new Shadow Sun model when C came out?
I mean, I liked the Shadow Sun model when it did come out. Even though I don't really care for most Tau and would like to see them destroyed horribly with fire and guns. And
that's why in your fan fiction, you just basically writ them out in one sentence, if that's correct.
Yeah, it's free real estate now.
Yeah, so for the audience, tell us about yourself. Like, who exactly are you?
All right. Hi, I'm Dusky, also known as That Fucking Cat. I'm an artist and I'm a writer for the 40k fandom. I write fan fiction. I write stupid little Primarch blurbs. Basically, I'm that one person that you're probably seeing on Twitter who is making the Primarchs act like siblings or act like idiots.
Yeah, and for the audience, Dusky here has actually done the art for Lilith for one of my thumbnails, and it was one of those arts that got me in trouble with YouTube for a few hours.
Too hot for YouTube!
Yeah, it's like, out of all of like the thumbnails that you can see and all the type of materials I can see on YouTube, it's like, I'm the guy within 3 hours that gets low warning off to that huge corporation.
They just don't appreciate Lilith ass, alright? They don't appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised. It actually took them 3 hours to respond to me, considering that all the content that gets produced per second out of conveyor belt. So the fact that I got onto their radar, it's like, well, that's pretty impressive.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, but then there's actual animals being tortured on this website, so it's like, where's your priorities? Where are your priorities, guys?
There's the animal torture, the child, sex exploitation. There's also the exploitation of minorities. There's a lot of horrible things on YouTube that YouTube just doesn't care about.
Yeah, but I'm the guy that gets under the radar because I appreciated the simple beauty that is of Lilith.
Lilith Hesperex deserves to be praised.
She definitely does. She definitely does.
I mean, seriously, if a person is literally running around in a black bikini and is still killing people and is one of the most, not really more powerful, but one of the best fighters in the entire series, while wearing said bikini, that deserves praise.
It definitely does, and I actually have to ask you this. What do you think of Lilith's new model? The one that just recently came out by the time we're recording this.
I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I hear the fair amount of criticism, and it's like, she doesn't look that great, especially by her facial features.
It's not really more of the facial features. It's more of the body feels way too thick. Like, I understand that she is a pit fighter and she should be muscled, which I agree with. However, she's too thick. She's kind of thicker than a human would be. Eldar are supposed to be tall, lithe, lean.
Yeah, elegance.
You know? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's like...
And I am mad that they gave her pants, low-riding pants, instead of her bikini! Come on!
It's like a Sigvald in AOS. You can see his ass. So it's like, why can't we see an Eldar chick with a bikini? It's like, why is that so different?
Exactly!
Yeah, and I think one of the most interesting critiques I did hear about Lilith is that she looks too much like a bodybuilder. And that she should have something like, if I'm correct, called whip card muscles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like, that is fair to say because she did look too bulky for a character like her. But on and onwards, by the time we're recording this, Games Workshop has just revealed a whole bunch of new stuff during one of their previews. And I am
so happy to say there are no Space Marines. It's amazing.
That's been something I've been hoping they would finally cut back on because, like, Space Marines are cool. Like, they're going to be one of those coolest elements of 40k, and they're going to be like the poster boys, yes. But it's like, right now, they're getting obnoxious.
Oh, yes, they're very, very obnoxious. There's way too many Space Marines, and I know, they're so much fun, and they have really cool lore, and I love collecting them, and I like drawing them, and I like looking at them, but, there's way too many Space Marines.
Yeah, it's like, this is something I think Games Workshop forgets from time to time. It's like, Warhammer 40k, it's not Space Marine 40k. It's like, Space Marines are but an element of the setting. It's like, imagine if in AOS, if they did like the Stormcast Eternals and treated them as they did with Space Marines, I think people would still not like AOS if they didn't give all this spotlight to all their other factions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because honestly, we need in 40k, we need more space elves. Please give us our trash fire, stupid pointy space elves. They're so dumb. They need a spotlight.
Yes, exactly. It's that skeleton of an Eldar Guardian below Lilith's space. That's like a metaphor for the state that their models are in, like ancient and mummified.
Yeah, I collect Dark Eldar and I collect Mechanicus Qatari. So I want more trash fire space elves, please. I don't want Dark Eldar. I want regular Eldar.
And that actually brings up a good point. When Psychic Awakening, when that series was going down, and when they revealed like the Howling Banshees and Jane Czar, what are your thoughts on those models? I don't think I ever got your opinions on that.
Well, honestly, Jane Czar is a really great and cool character. I mean, the whole living armor aspect, I've always liked that in fantasy type games.
Yeah, exactly. And
full of a great warrior, or just continuing to live on, even without a body, to continue serving their people. That's awesome!
Yeah, it was especially cool that we also got like plastic Howling Banshees with it because like if there's what's up?
I'm sorry, I'm just saying bless the plastic banshees.
Yeah, it's like about like craft holders. It's like one of the most coolest things about them is that their aspect side, like all the different aspect warriors that you can get. But the thing is, no one wants to really get them because, well, they're fine cast, and fine cast models aren't that really fun to collect or paint. Like, I would know, because it was horrible trying to build Farsight, and even now, his paint is starting to chip because of the material.
Yeah. I got into the whole scene pretty late, only the past few years. So I don't really have a lot of experience with the whole fine cast thing. But just looking at them, I just know that they would be a bitch and a half to take care of.
They really are, and trying to assemble them with a certain glue that you need is like, it's not comfortable if you get a bit of that glue on your fingers. It's not pleasant. Though, back to the previews, I think one of the spotlights that came out of all the stuff that was shown to us is like, I think the Soulblight Gravelords, they were pretty cool, but I think my absolute spotlight was the new tank for the Sisters of Battle.
Oh my god, that tank looks so cool!
Yeah, it's like, what I especially like about the Sisters of Battle with their tanks is like of how they look like little cathedrals. Like little cathedrals of war and all that. Well, with this tank, I like it how they didn't like just pile on stuff on it and just had it be a simple, Predator like Rhino. So it's like, to me, this is almost like the case of less is more.
Well, I'm happy that the Sororitas are getting more models. They now have a tank, so they're not just going to be a pure infantry army anymore. Because I actually saw a few people all kind of talk about how they're afraid to play Sororitas because it would just be pure infantry. And, well, I have a lot of experience playing video games like Advance Wars, and using nothing but infantry is kind of not good. Not good to do, especially when you're going up against heavier units.
Yeah, it's like they really did need a sort of just regular battle tank, and I'm glad Games Workshop finally did that, because it does look cool. And, about
now we just need more models.
I think they're in a good spot too, and but I gotta say, out of all of 8th edition, I think it was the Sisters of Battle that were like the top spotlights that ever came out from Games Workshop.
Yeah, I saw all of the memes about the Sororitas always begging, please, new models, please update, please.
And they did, and they finally did, like a reborn phoenix, and they're absolutely beautiful.
It was beautiful to see. I didn't wait nearly as long as most other people, but I got to see how happy other people were just to see the Sororitas back, and it was beautiful.
Like, I didn't have to wait that long. Like, I got into this around maybe 7th edition, like around the late years of it. But I was hoping for new sisters because they did look cool. But I got asked, out of all the spotlights that came out this day, what was your spotlight?
My Mechie boys! My Mechanicum boys!
It looks like a lieutenant sort of character that they got, and their codex did look really pretty, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Like what?
Oh my gosh. I haven't bought models in a long time, but I'm actually thinking of buying those.
Oh, that's very interesting. What kind of models do you collect?
I have Dark Eldar, and I have Skitarii.
Oh, cool. Yeah,
even though they're unpainted.
Yeah, I have a huge pile of shame on my shelf. I have models that I bought like 2 years ago during Battle Force that still aren't even finished yet.
Oh yeah, other than Dark Eldar, I do have that box set of Eldar from Eldar versus Space Marines. That's not really helping out a lot because there's a few of those, but Oh
yeah, I remember. Awake the Dead, yeah?
Yes, that one. I have those Eldar. Yeah, I like space elves.
And you know what? That's like one of the more unique elements of 40K. It's like elves in space. It's like, why not?
Space elves! Now we just need half elves.
Oh. Yeah, they did exist during Rogue Trader, and think Games Workshop will go that route? Think they'll bring them back?
Funny you bring up Ilian Nadase, who I know his name. There is actually a female Corsair, Rogue Trader, somewhere in there, they don't actually come out and say she's a half Eldar.
Oh, yeah. But
they do say she has both human and Eldari attributes. So they're just kind of dancing around it saying, oh, we're not saying it, but she definitely looks it.
Yeah, I remember that. That was actually pretty neat, actually.
Yeah.
And with you being such a big fan of Warhammer 40K, I do have to ask, what are your opinions on Warhammer Fantasy or AOS? Because I don't think you ever really talk about that kind of stuff too much.
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little bit timid about going into Fantasy and Age of Sigmar, mostly because I'm a huge Tolkien fan. Tolkien, oh my god, I love them. I love his books. I remember being read to them when I was little. I remember watching the movies when they were coming out, even though I was little and I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, it's like Tolkien, he basically created what would become modern fantasy. And during the early years of Warhammer Fantasy, it's like, it was obvious at Games Workshop was really inspired by the works of Tolkien. It was not even subtle either.
But the reason why I bring it up is because Tolkien and his works have taken up a huge part of my life for so long. I'm a little timid about accepting a whole other medieval fantasy into my heart. Which is weird because I'm a huge Mass Effect fan.
Yeah, I don't play Mass Effect myself, so I wouldn't really know, but yeah, you would basically be diving into like two deep ends of two different universes of Warhammer 40k and AOS. Though I would say...
And even funnier, even though I love Tolkien, the other half of my heart is still Elder Scrolls. And with how absolutely insane Elder Scrolls lore is... I mean, a good chunk of the lore was actually written by a guy who was high on PCP for 2 weeks and kind of wrote down everything.
Really?
Yeah, that's actually a thing that happened in Elder Scrolls. It was during the Morrowind and video game. One of the developers got high on PCP, locked himself in his house for 2 weeks, and the other developers had to kind of break him out. And they just saw him on the floor, half naked, in a pool of his own piss. And there was like a bunch of documents by his side, and those are the lessons of Vivek, which are actually in the video game.
Wow, that's quite a way on creating a universe, I would say. Though I think Elder Scrolls right now, mostly it's Skyrim. It's like, how long was it that Skyrim came out? Because Elder Scrolls fans have been waiting like how long for a new game?
Elder Scrolls Skyrim came out in 11/11/11. You know, the whole Skyrim 11/11/11. Oh, yeah. So it's going to be almost 10 years. It was in November when it came out, which is crazy.
Yeah, that was a big game that came out at the time, and that was like a game that blew my mind when I played for the first time, because it was like enormous.
Oh my gosh, I love modding Elder Scrolls, because you know what? Sometimes the mods are absolutely insane, but sometimes they're not as insane as the actual lore. Like when the Khajiit got high off of moon sugar and teleported themselves to the moon.
That sounds like a fun experience.
And then they teleported themselves back and freaked out the High Elves, who were like, "What? How? How did you go to the moon?" And the Khajiits are just dancing around, just inhaling more moon sugar, not giving a shit.
Yeah, Skyrim is a really fun game, though I've never actually completed 100% of the game, because sometimes I would play like a few weeks, then I'll just put it down and not play again for a little while. But then I would forget.
It's been almost 10 years and there are still things in Skyrim that I'm finding. Like that one little boat. Oh, that's in the Reach. It's under a cliff. It's on a river. It's by a waterfall, and it has flawless gems in there. I didn't know that was there until like a couple of days ago.
Really?
Yeah.
And my spotlights. I think my spotlights, when I was playing the game for the very first time, is when I went to this one city. I don't know the name of it right now, but there was this kind of like priest. He was telling me this house was possessed. And as we went in, it turns out to be...
Markarth! You were in Markarth!
Yeah. And then when I eventually went to the basement, it's like that would be my top weapon. The mace that you would get from that.
The Mace of Molag Bal.
Molag Bal, yeah.
Where you have to sacrifice a priest and then beat him to death with it.
Yeah, it's like, if I were to, whenever I play that game, it's like that would be the first, or not the first weapon, but that would be my top priority weapon to get, because I fell in love with that mace and the stuff you can use it for.
One of my favorite quests from Elder Scrolls was actually in Oblivion, where you're getting the Sanguine Rose, and Sanguine got a debauchery. It was like, hey, I want you to go into this party. There's a bunch of nobles there. I want you to cause some havoc, and I want you to put them all in their underwear. Well, why? Because it'll be funny. Let's do it.
Oh yeah, and speaking about parties, it's like there was this one quest. It took place in Whiterun? Yeah, Whiterun.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you would meet a Daedra, but he'd be disguised as a human. You would do a drinking contest, And then you wake up.
Oh, yeah, sanguine.
Yeah, you wake
I'm
up.
sorry, sanguivane.
Yeah, you would wake up and it's like the opening scene of The Hangover.
Yes. Wake up, you drunken blasphemer!
Like, oh, what happened?
Funny enough, you can meet Sam in any tavern in the game, which is
Really?
actually the closest area of where you reach level 14.
Really?
Yes. So if you reach level 14 while you're in the Rift, then he'll be in a tavern in Riften. Or if you're near Whiterun, in Whiterun. Or if you're kind of like in between Dawnstar and Windhelm, you'll actually go to the Nightgate Inn, which is actually an inn in between those two areas. Yes, I know way too much about Elder Scrolls lore!
Yeah, I think you also know a lot more about 40k lore than I am because of what looks like of how much more books that you've read, more than I ever could.
Well, I mean, a lot of the times I'm reading the books is mostly because I want to see, is it actually true that the serfs would wear this as when around the Space Marines? Oh, it is. Or, I need to know, what type of designs on the cathedral in this chapter, or what do they do? Ooh. I'm looking for those little tiny details.
And out of curiosity, out of all of the 40k books, what would be your top spotlight? Like the one 40k book that you would have like as your gem in your
Slave
whole
of
library?
Nuceria, no doubt.
Oh, pardon?
Slave of Nuceria, no doubt.
Oh, what's that one about?
Slave of Nuceria is a book about Angron, and for half of the book, it's talking about present times of where the Legion, and they're doing this whole thing about how this planet of kind of not psychers, these weird people who are way too perfect and way too weird, and eventually they just kind of kill them. But the other half of the book is more about Angron's past. You actually see snips of him when he was on Nuceria, when he was a kid, his first blood game. You actually get to see his adoptive dad, what led him to getting the nails. And honestly, one of my favorite parts about the book, well, one of them is seeing little Angron. That was adorable. I love him. But at the same time, my second favorite part of the book is when Karn just goes absolutely ballistic on these enemies, and there's so much blood going on that the book actually is actually covered in black ink, which is the blood.
Yeah, I think in the hardcover, I think it was red, because I remember seeing screenshots on that on Twitter, yeah.
Yes, that was amazing, I loved it.
And I assume you will never read any, like, the Farsight books, if I'm right?
I mean, I am interested in Commander Farsight and the Farsight Enclaves. They have potential to not infuriate me. So I'll give them a chance. But if they do infuriate me, I'll tell you, I'm gonna kill them all.
Well, he does kill Space Marines in the first Farsight book, so I think you might like that. I think we're at a good point where I can ask some questions, if that's fine with you.
Oh yeah, bring them on!
And sure thing, I'm going to bring it up right now. Alright, question 1. Do you think that fanfiction, apart from encouraging our creativity, can teach us how to write better? And when it comes to you, Dusky, do you think that Messages for Dad has helped you to get in touch with what is supposed to be a novel?
Funny enough, I've actually had this conversation with people before. Fanfiction is not a new thing, and when it comes to the literary circles, fanfiction has actually been around for quite a long time. In fact, quite a good number of Sherlock Holmes novels are actually fanfiction of them in and of themselves.
Really?
Mm-hmm. In fact, there was a dedicated fan base for the early Sherlock Holmes novels, where other fans would write Sherlock Holmes fanfiction, publish it to each other, and kind of share it between each other.
Oh, that's very interesting, actually. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah, from what I can say is, like, all forms of writing is exposure or experience. It's like you can have
Yes.
you can have like this fancy degree in like literature, but it's like it doesn't really mean much if you don't have the experience.
Yes, I actually do highly agree. I've always been a big critic about people going to college for art degrees or writing degrees, because a lot of what you actually learn in college in those degrees you can learn yourself with just enough time, patience, and a lot of your own experience.
Yeah, no, that's actually a thing about my field of work, because outside of the YouTube life, I'm also a, mechanic apprentice and all that. And when I was going to school, they made it clear that only 25% of our education comes from the college. The other percentage came from like a real life experience from the shop. Because if you were to complete all 3 years of the college, or at least from the one I attended, and if you went straight to take your exam to be a licensed mechanic, you wouldn't do well. You wouldn't do well because it's not like a textbook sort of exam. It's like, this is the sort of stuff that you would know from actual work experience. So yeah, I would say that like when it comes to fan fiction, it's like there are fan fiction writers like who write novels. And it's like, it's like quite impressive how quickly they can write them, and it's not like just like a mess of words either. It's like they take this stuff seriously.
Because it all really comes down to a passion for writing. In the fanfiction communities, we love to read, we love to write, we love sharing everything that we create with other people who also enjoy that type of stuff as well. Writing 100,000 words, 200,000 words, a few people writing millions of words, all just to show the love that they have for something. It's a great community to be a part of. And the more you write fan fiction, the better you get. The more you realize, oh, maybe I should phrase this in some other way. Or I noticed that writer uses a lot of subtext. Maybe I can try that out myself.
And yeah, and again, with fan fiction, experience is experience. So it's like, if they can write like novels worth of stories in like a matter of maybe a few months, whereas it took an actual published writer like years, it's like, who are you to say that it's not real writing or fiction then?
Exactly. And there have actually been plenty of fan fictions that I've read that have a lot more suspense and sometimes have a lot more detailed storylines than some actual novels and actual movies I've seen.
And I believe you, because I did read my fair share of fan fiction, like during my time in high school and before all this. It's like, I know what it's like because I had the same experience, and and you are correct in that. It's like, it seems like fan fiction has like a lot more shine to it than what they would accept in the publication industry. But onwards.
The last thing I'll say about fan fiction is one, writing is art. Just like drawing, just like with printing, just like with making movies or making music, writing is art. And fan fiction is art as well. People in Alpha use a server, I said that before. Yeah. Just in case.
Yeah, you can also apply this to like YouTubers. It's like that none of us have like any sort of like video editing, degree or anything like that. We're all doing this by ourselves and learning as we go. Yeah, but onwards and upwards, do you ever think that Messages for Dad would take off like it did? And will you ever address the Void Dragon in the story?
Every time someone mentions the Void Dragon, that's another 2 weeks and we're not going to talk about him.
Yeah, and for the audience who might not know, Dusky here, her fanfiction is Messages for Dad, which is basically a sort of alternate universe if all the Primarchs were to have families, if I'm correct.
If Primarchs were dads, they failed at dads, and they watched everything fall apart.
If the Emperor was a bad father, then it's most definitely they would be bad fathers. It's a cycle that repeats. Yep.
As for the question of did I imagine that MFD would actually take off? No, I did not. When I first started writing MFD, it was a shit post one thread, and I spent a grand total of 20 minutes writing the first chapter. I just went post.
Yeah, but it is actually absolute crazy of like how far or how big this is actually becoming. It's really cool to see our, shall we say, side career growing this way. It's pretty cool.
It is. When I saw so many people liking it, I've never had the whole feeling of someone liking my art that much. I've always been a more private person, and it was actually Z Theranok who was the one who brought me onto Twitter. But seeing how many people like Messages for Dad, who kept on reading the chapters over and over again, who were making fan art, and it was kind of overwhelming at times. And when it was actually kind of crazy to eventually go on Twitter one day, and I'm like, hold on, someone's talking about MFD and it's not me. And then I find out there's a whole roleplay community which have adopted my fanfiction as their canon, where they outright have said a couple times, I don't follow GW's canon anymore. I follow MFD's canon now. And I'm like, what?
Yeah, sometimes Martin 4K stories can be a little still at times, especially with the whole idea where they'll have two important characters fight, and they'll like build up that one of them's going to die, yet none of them die.
Yeah, I can go on and on and on and on about how much I really don't like the Siege of Terra series right now.
I'm really far behind on like those comic books, so I wouldn't really know that much, but I'm so
Let's just say that GW's need for a twist has been out of control, and it has made the books terrible.
I'm willing to believe that. But, moving on.
Onwards.
Where are my fucking socks, Dusky? I know you stole them.
Remy, you're not getting your socks back, they're mine!
And I don't want to imagine what he does with his socks. It's probably a gross thought.
They're mine, they're in my pile, they belong to me now, Remy! Get over it!
Alright, and, what is your favorite type of frog?
This is gonna sound edgy as fuck, but poison dart frogs, they're just so little, and they got those neon colors going on, and they got the little faces, and they're adorable, but at the same time, they'll kill me.
I don't know what this frog's called, but it has like a red body, and it's like hands are blue.
I know that frog. I don't know the name, but I know that frog.
Yeah, I only like it because of how visually pretty it looks, but at the same time, if you did touch it, you would die.
Yeah. Why do we like the things that can kill us?
Because they're a lot more exciting than any type of animal you would see in any urban neighborhood, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But, why is Conrad having children?
Because I say so, fuck you.
Yeah, and in real life, he would be one of those parents one of those kinds of men who would like, you're not fit to have children at all because you would do a lot more damage, dude.
Actually, Conrad would be that super, super, super overprotective parent because he is imagining every single bad thing that is going to happen to his child, and he is like, no, you can't do that! And they're just and he's constantly just like holding them like, don't touch my child!
Yeah, would he be like, well, he would be like one of those overprotective dads. Like, one of his kids are going to prom, even if it's like his son, taking like his day to prom, like, would you say he'd be very protective too? Even if it's his son going out?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he would be following them in his car, or he would also be in the bushes watching what's going on. He would also be taking out anyone who would possibly get too close to them. He would also be the one who was personally checking out every single food and drink that could possibly go near them. He would be way overprotective.
And people say I overthink things too much.
Yeah, no, Conrad would just be out of control. Also, the reason why Conrad has a son is mostly because I wanted to torture him with a bright, sunshine, happy-go-lucky, precious little bean son, alright? Damien is one of the best characters!
Yeah, that's basically how every single writer would do. It's like, they would come up with the characters who just torture them, because I would know because I've made characters who I tortured.
I love torturing my characters. I feed off of the suffering. And I feed off of the tears of readers who start crying when I hurt the characters too much. Anyway.
The Texan George R.R. Martin, everyone. But, how many cackles of joy did you have when you destroyed the Tau and MFD?
Oh my god. Okay, so funny story. When Showtime and I were writing that chapter, we were like going back and forth like, oh my god, what are we going to do with the Tau? Oh my god, I don't know what we're going to do about the Tau. The both of us just don't like the Tau. Showtime just outright hates them and wants them all dead. And me, well, most of the time I want them dead. And eventually we just kind of looked at each other and just kind of laughed like, hey, wouldn't it be funny if we like just murder the Tau and we don't show it? And it's just like in 2 sentences. Oh my god, that'd be fucking hilarious! And that's what we did. We did it in a meme. But the elder are just like, oh yeah, heard it's practically free real estate around here ever since the Tau just got destroyed. Lol.
And that is kind of realistic, considering of how little the Tau actually do contribute to like the 40k conflict. Because compared their little empire to the Imperium, they are but a little blimp of the map. So it's like, that sounds pretty realistic.
Yeah, and even though we're still laughing about it, like, even when we're writing new chapters, we just sometimes just kind of look at each other like, are we gonna write these guys off too in two sentences, like the Tau? And then we just burst into giggles.
So I'm pretty sure it's safe to say that we're never going to get risque Tau art from you.
I'm still of the opinion that Tau do not have big boobs. They have thick thighs. Yeti! You know I'm right, Yeti!
And you know, big boobs are overrated. It's the thighs that are the tease.
Yes. Thick thighs save lives.
They absolutely do, but in case of YouTube, thick thighs gets your thumbnail removed.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say about the Tau is, oh my god, the salt that we mined. The salt that we mined when we posted that chapter of so many people like, oh my god, how could you just run out the Tau? That's so mean. And we're like, cry harder.
Cry harder, Harkin. Though Harkin probably doesn't even like the Tau either, so.
Mm-hmm.
Hey guys, it's Harkin Dragonblade. Welcome back to new 40k Kill Team campaign.
Hark needs Dragonblade.
Does it off his phone.
Oh my god, which reminds me, I need to draw Hercules Dragonblade art at some point.
Yeah, and Armorless Custodians is not canon. It's not canon anymore, guys. Come on.
I wish there was a command point.
Why?
I want to use a command point.
Why? And it's like
defend the rules.
And it's like he thinks he's like some kind of DM, but it's like there is no narrative, dude.
Sometimes we just want to fight.
It's like I don't like the new logo. It's not grimdark.
Okay, actually, you know what? I will give him that one thing. The logo for 140k is not centered.
Well, nor is the other logos. If you were to look at them, they are not centered.
No, at the very end, the R in Warhammer is clearly going over the line. It's so infuriating.
Good Games Workshop, come on, Tau aren't canon, guys.
Next question, please.
Okay, sure. What inspired Messages for Dad Why was the PS2 the worst console ever? Does Dusky still like Elder Scrolls, even though it has no proper epic gamery?
Momo, you know Elder Scrolls is amazing! I have debated you on this! You lost! You cried! Alright! End of discussion! Elder Scrolls is awesome!
And what did inspire Messages for Dead, actually?
Oh my god, okay, that's, I'm gonna condense a very long story, okay? I'm just gonna condense it. It actually started out with, Fire Emblem Awakening.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, I love Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem is one of the video game series that I love playing. I have played pretty much all of the games, except, Thracia 776. I'm scared to play Thracia 776 because it's so uber hard and... By the way, when Fire Emblem Awakening came out, I was glued to the game. I still have 2,412 hours on that game.
And, Memo, what I can say about the PS2 is that you're obviously wrong. That is the best console ever, because it has produced so many great games.
It was also one of the most successful game consoles ever created.
Yeah, I hear stories about that too, and I didn't grow up with a PS2. Like, I grew up with GameCube, like some kind of weirdo.
That's okay, I grew up with GameCube too.
But, there was good games on that game. I can't criticize it too hard. It's like, I am forever grateful for that piece of cube. But, God of War is like, the PS2 produced like God of War, and that will forever be my favorite game series. But, moving on, question.
Oh yeah, back to the stupid story. Yeah, Fire Emblem Awakening, main story was the whole, oh, we need to save the world. Hooray! Oh, actually, I'm your daughter from the future. What? And there's a bunch of kids coming from the future to help their parents out. And I like time travel stories, even though sometimes they don't make any goddamn sense. Whatever. Which I always kept that in the back of my mind of a destroyed future, or with the kids of main characters trying to fix the problems of their parents. And when I started writing Messages for Dad, I just thought, how can I torture my readers? I can put in a much more destroyed future that the kids have to take care of because their dads are idiots. Perfect.
Yeah, the decisions they make, especially in real lore, it's kind of ridiculous. It's like, so your son has little nails in his brain, and you think he's stable enough to give him a legion. It's like, yeah, I know my son has a drinking problem, but I think I can trust him of taking care of the bar.
Mm-hmm. And that's actually one of the biggest complaints that I have about GW and the way that they write the Primarchs. It's actually a part of a problem with writers writing characters that are way too smart. The Primarchs are supposed to be extremely intelligent, think faster and better than any human can. They're supposed to make the best decisions. They're supposed to know what's best for everyone. But writing characters like that, you have to be consistent with them. But yet there's a lot of times where the Primarchs, they don't act the way that they should. A lot of the problems that happen with the lore and with what's going on with the Primarchs only happens because the plot says so, not what the characters would actually do.
I also think that's kind of like a problem when multiple authors are given the task of writing the same character. It's like, because there's, intentionally or not, there's going to be different interpretations.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not even sometimes their fault. It's like, anyone can have a different, like, idea or perspective on, like, a piece of book. And it's like, it can mean something different from one person to the next.
Mm-hmm.
And that...
Plus... Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry, go on.
Well, I was going to say that, well, a lot of the lore has already been written about 40-ish years ago. They can't change a single thing, no matter how nonsensical it is. Magnus will always fall to Zinj, Mortarn will always fall to Nurgle, Fulgrim always falls to Slanesh, Angron to Khorne. The traitors will always be traitors. And no matter how you frame the characters, no matter what you do or how they're characterized or the experiences that you give them, they always have to follow this one line. No matter the experiences that you give them or the things that they go through would point otherwise, they have to follow what is already written.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is like, even if it's predictable, at least it makes sense, because you don't want to do something like what they did with the last season of Game of Thrones, where they tried like doing these little twists, thinking, psych, this happens. And it's like, that's not a plot twist, that's just ridiculous.
That's you not understanding the source material.
Yeah, it's like, so you build up this epic fight with the Night King, and you only have him get killed off by an assassin. It's like, come on. It's like you promoted these fireworks, and the show wasn't satisfying. But here's a fun little question. Moving on. How do you feel about cursed beans?
What? You people stop sending me beans!
I see multiple beans questions. What is that about?
Okay, so I'm Hispanic. I'm Mexican Hispanic. I love beans. And
Taco?
people, you know what? You know who actually started this? It was Remlays! Remlays started this! Remlays one day was like, hey, Dusky, look at this picture I found for you. Oh, what is it, Remlays? My trusted and wonderful friend whom I love and care for very much. Is a picture of Rosita's refried beans out of a can, keeping the can shape, put in a tortilla, and then served. He would not stop sending me that stupid picture! And ever since Remley started attacking me with beans, other people saw that, and they're like, hey, Dusky, British baked beans in places where they shouldn't be. And I'm like,
beans on
no!
toast.
No, stop it! Stop doing this to the beans!
Beans on toast aren't canon to you.
No, they're not. That's disgusting. Do not do that.
I saw something that made me physically angry, too. It's like beans on pizza.
Beans on what?
Beans on pizza.
Heresy.
Yeah, it's like vegetables on... It's like vegetables on pizza. It's like, no. No, it was... No, it's pineapple on pizza. My mistake.
Pineapple on pizza is terrible. I hate pineapple so fucking much.
Hey, guys, it's Hawaiian. We have this Hawaiian fruit on it. That makes it Hawaiian.
But yeah... Then other people saw me getting mad at Remlays, and these other people for sending me beans, and now they're piling on like, hey, Dusky beans! Hey, Dusky beans! Beans, Dusky! Beans for Dusky! And there's a few Discords that I'm in where people have made channels which are just called Beans for Dusky. And they're just posting bean memes and freaking adding me saying, Dusky, look, I got like this. I'm not mad. I think it's hilarious. I'm just mad that Remlays, out of all people, was the one who started this.
When people find out something annoys you, they'll never stop, ever.
Yeah, I think it's hilarious, though.
Yeah, moving on with some of these questions. Ever been to Taco Land? And if so, what was it like?
Have I ever been to Taco Land? Yes, I have. I live near the southern border. Of course I've been to fucking Mexico, man.
Unfortunately, I've never been to Mexico, so.
Oh, no, don't go as a shithole.
Afraid that I might get kidnapped by the drug cartel.
I mean, when it comes to Mexico, you have to stay in the well-populated areas, and you have to know people.
The tourist area.
Yeah, stay in the tourist areas. As do not leave the lanes. You're not gonna like it.
I've been to Mexico, and it's like you saw like the 1% of Mexico, man.
Mm-hmm. Which I'm gonna say, Mexico is a beautiful country. The people are great. Okay, actually, most of the people are great because a good chunk of them are. Yeah, there's a reason on why going to Mexico is a bad idea. People there are violent. And I can say that because I'm Mexican and Hispanic, and I have family that live in Mexico right now. I can say this.
Do not cancel us, Twitters. Like, see Stanley from experience. Don't cancel me.
Exactly.
It's like, uh-oh, look what Jarvis said in his podcast 6 years ago. Canceled.
Jarvis has a racist person on their podcast talking about the Mexicans.
Alt-right YouTuber with a Viking symbol on his Space Marine says something racist. What? I did not even say anything racist, I swear. Alt-right YouTuber.
No, we're not racist. We're not racist.
Alt-right YouTubers. Here's a fun little question, nice and simple. Booba. Yes, sir, Booba's... Booba. That's the question.
Booba. Yes, Booba.
All Booba is good Booba.
Yes. Small Booba, big Booba, all is good.
Maybe I'll just say... I think my favorite type of Booba is one where it's like pressed up with a nice dress. That's my favorite type of Booba.
Yes. Nice big bouncy.
Especially if the dress has like little cuts like above, so it's like you can see between the lines. Not revealing the whole half, but it's like the little snippet, because that's like a little tease.
My favorite Booba is where like they're in a bra and they're still kind of like spilling out the sides because there's too much going on.
And that's what he did with Lilith, and that was perfect.
Yes. I swear to God, I'm straight. I appreciate the female form. I'm straight. I swear to God.
The female form is beautiful. So we're celebrating the feminine beauty. In fact, I celebrated masculine beauty when I did that custodian thumbnail.
Oh my God, yes.
But to be on the safe side with YouTube, I had his nipples covered. Maybe his nipples are so thick that they can cut glass. I don't know.
They most likely can.
All right, moving on before YouTube removes this video. I'm going to read this word for word. Girl, you have to pick a romantic date with Conrad, but nothing else comes from it, or marry Gilliman.
Marry Gilliman.
Marry the Dilf?
Yes, marry Gilliman. Gilliman is the one Primarch who would not only care about everything you have to say, care about everything that you like, but he will also be the one who would most likely actually marry you, give you the home that you want, will make you feel loved and appreciated. Gilliman is top tier husband.
The ultimate Dilf, I would say.
God, yes, he is. I love Conrad. That fucking trash Batman.
Yeah, I think in the book Dark Imperium, it did describe him as having like starting to turn gray at the side of his hair, so he does fit the idea of a Dilf.
Yes.
And
funny enough, my fiance acts exactly like Gilliman. Gilliman is also his favorite character.
And like in the romance, if I'm right.
Yeah, I am marrying Gilliman.
You made a joke one time too that he also likes Roman, so it's pretty fitting too.
That wasn't a joke. He loves Roman and history. He loves Rome in general.
Yeah, my dad's on the Italian side, so of course he also loves the Roman stuff too. It's like,
and I'm also not joking about how my fiance actually owns a laurel.
Based. That is absolutely based.
Yes.
All right.
Also, I know who sent that. I know who sent that question. Also, Mina, I love you, baby. I love you.
And here's another fun beans questions. Beans or tasty beans?
Next question.
What is your favorite elf? Could be one each franchise: Warhammer Fantasy Battle, 40K, Elder Scrolls, D&D, etc. And why is it Almalexia?
No! Don't you dare say Almalexia! Almalexia is a bitch-ass hoe! She a bitch-ass hoe, and she is ratchet-ass hoe!
Yeah, this is going over my head. Almalexia? Who's she?
She. Almalexia is one of the tribunal in Elder Scrolls. She's one of the 3 living gods in Morrowind, which is the land of the Dark Elves. Almalexia is a cunt. Like a grade A cunt. Like, think of the most cuntish things you can do, and she's probably done them. Almalexia was married, cheated on her husband with one of her husband's best friends, and for years, then murdered her husband so that she can get access as to an artifact which would make her immortal. She also during that whole murder, angered their patron god, Azura, who cursed all of the Dark Elves to, well, make them go from the Chimer to the Dunmer, and make them all have dark skin and the red eyes and all that. Almalexia was like, no, bitch. I want to keep my beautiful pale skin, and I don't want to be like all these ashy motherfuckers. Almalexia just literally said no, so she can stay pretty and pale and beautiful.
Sounds like she has an OnlyFans account, I would say.
Oh, Almalexia would definitely have an OnlyFans account.
It's like
Almalexia would go around pretending to be this loving, matronly, motherly type of god. Would constantly manipulate the people into loving her, while she looks down on them as little plebeians and bugs. There's a reason on why people in the Elder Scrolls universe see her as the reincarnation of Mephala, which is the goddess of betrayals. Well, not betrayals, of evil plots and all the creepy, things like that.
Yeah, despite the fact that if I were in a relationship with her, despite all that, I might still simp. It's like, yes, he doesn't treat me well, guys, but he pets my head from time to time, and I like that. It's like, why, thank you, Michael222, for picking the $50 tier of my OnlyFans.
Oh my god, that's cursed. I love it.
But
my favorite elf in anything ever. Yeah, I would have to say Elrond. Elrond's my favorite elf. Which, fun enough, he's actually a half elf. So, fuck you.
That was actually pretty neat information when I learned that a few years ago through a YouTube video. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite elf, if I were to choose something from like Warhammer 40k, it would actually be a German, the Phoenix Lord of the Dire Avengers.
Yes. That's a very good elf.
It's like one of his audiobooks, The Darker Road, that was actually my very first like sort of Eldar story. And that always stuck with me. So it's like, I think it was with that story that made me really like the idea of the Eldar. It's pretty cool that his Dire Avengers are plastic. They could be updated, sure. But it's like, he needs a new model because it would look amazing, his new model, but I'm hoping they'll do something cool with him.
Yeah, I'm hoping for that too. Actually, no, I'm just more hoping for more love for the space elves.
Considering that they gave the Necrons like a whole new makeover, and they gave the Sisters of Battle a whole new model line, I'm pretty sure it's something that could happen, and maybe even will.
You just gotta wait.
And moving on with these questions, how many piles of shame do you both got? Like unpainted models and a bunch of extra pieces.
I got 2 shoe boxes, so that's how much I got.
Well, for me, I have an entire shelf full of models in my office right now, and I'm seeing them. It's like I have one.
They're all like, Jarvis, paint us, Jarvis. You were the paint us. The longer we're unpainted, the more you will feel shame, Jarvis.
Good lord. I painted most of them, but there is like an entire row of like half painted stuff. that I can easily paint with like contrast paints, which has been working really well for my Tyranids. But it's like either I'm working on other stuff, and it's like I'm making an excuse not to. But I really have to get back to my shame pile.
Speaking of shame pile, I have a shame model, just one single shame model, which is it's not because it's not painted like the rest of mine. It's more of it was the one model I was given from the Burning of Prospero set that I helped pay for a little bit.
Oh, which model was that?
I got the one Space Wolf leader.
You didn't get Armin?
No, I did not get Armin because as my fiance and I's mutual friend, he was all like, Armin is mine because I need to have him and my Sisters of Silence because he is going to be Armin and his bitches.
I love that
so, yeah,
voice.
Yeah, he took Armin and he took the Sisters of Silence. I'm like, no, I wanted the Sisters of Silence. My fiance was like, we already agreed that I would take the Custodes, so yoink. And I'm like, okay, so can I have like any of the other Marines, please?
Yeah, it's like
Our other friend was like, yeah, I'm here because I wanted the 1,000 Suns, but I love the 1,000 Suns. Yeah, no, I'm taking the 1,000 Suns. I'm also taking the Space Wolves too. But what am I left with? You can have this one model.
The one model that doesn't really look great, in my opinion.
And I'm like, I hate all of you.
I don't have anyone to split like these special type of boxes with. So it's like if there's one that I really want to get, but at the same time I don't want to get like stink eyes for my parents, it's like a strategy almost.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, how much did that cost, Lewis? And it's like, I saved up for it. How much did it cost? 200.
Look, I actually had a really great deal, and how much did it cost?
And it's like, I'll tell you this story before moving on. When I was getting into Warhammer, right? And when I was trying to explain to my dad about what the game was and how you play it, it's like one time he asked me once, it was like, well, why not just pretend you have the models when you're playing it? So I was like, imagine Vincent. Imagine Vincent bringing his stuff to like a game store. He's like, yeah, so this shoebox is my Rhino. These coins are my Space Marines. Yeah, this set of keys is
Oh man, it's the Ghetto Army.
Yeah, and these car keys are going to be my Predator tank. And yeah, I'm good to go. So where are these chips then? Oh no, that's just lunch.
Reminds me of that picture from a White Dwarf magazine of two Marines who are on deployment, and they were playing a game of Eldar versus Space Marines, but with little white rocks that they found from outside on a board, and they had like a metal stick that they use as a ruler.
It's not an imaginary game, man. If you were to do something like that in real life, people would tell you to get out.
Yeah.
But moving on. How does your writing process with me go? Terrible ways of describing it only.
Oh, showtime. Showtime, you motherfucker. Okay. Here's how it goes with the writing process. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. Open up a Google Doc. Start shit posting in green 4chan green text style, which including all of the stupid jokes like, be me, be wake up in bitchin' ass room. This thing happens. Oh no! Run the fuck out that JPEG! And it just goes on and on about that. And eventually, then Showtime will come in, he's like, I'm gonna add this in here. And we're just adding horrible curse words at each other in the little writing area, just throwing things at the wall. It's completely chaotic. And then by the time that the first hour is up, we look at what we wrote and we're like, okay, how are we going to make this into an actual cohesive chapter or story? Fuck, man, I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna get a Monster Energy drink. I'm gonna get a Red Bull. All right, let's do this. And then we just kind of shake it out, and we just kind of throw it against the Google Doc again by writing things out. And even when we're writing things out, we're still insulting and yelling and cursing at each other. And that sometimes translates into the actual writing, where sometimes there will be parts of, and then he started eating the foreskin soup, and started saying shalom, and I'm like, dude, no, god damn it, not again!
Shit just went from 0 to 100 real quick.
Yes! It just goes on and on like that! Like, people think that our writing process is, oh, here is first draft, here's the outline, we must go over the first draft again, and go with the second draft, and then finally the final draft. No, man, no. It's like literally a gigantic paintball match against each other while writing.
Writing drunk, editing sober.
Exactly. That's our writing process. And there have been plenty of times where I'm just looking, or I'm pulled away from something, I'm pulled away from the writing, and I come back, and Showtime has written 12 different expletives written somewhere in the doc, and I had to find them, and I had to get rid of them.
This sounds like a fun time.
Oh, it's a lot of fun. I hate them.
And, next question, I guess. Where did your hate for Erda come from? I don't deny she's a hoe. I just want to know.
Okay, getting back into the serious side. I hate Erda as a character. I hate Erda as a character because in Saturnine book,
the one with Angron on the cover.
And I actually own the book. I have it staring at me on my shelf. The reason why I hate the character so much is because not only it's actually a thing with when I'm writing with Showtime and I'm just writing in general, which I think you can actually take this advice too. If you can cut something out of your writing and it changes nothing about the whole writing as a whole, then it was not needed. You understand?
Yeah, I understand that. Like, I've done that plenty of times, yeah.
Mm-hmm. When you cut out the whole Erda part from the book, nothing changes. At all. The characters never talk about her ever again. She's never mentioned, even in passing thought. In fact, even the character who actually talks with her, John Grammaticus, he doesn't actually change at all from his conversation with her. You can cut out her part entirely, and nothing in the book changes. He's still on his way to Terra. He's still going to be doing his thing. It also connects to this whole thing that I have about unneeded characters and poorly done characters. Because I know I write the whole thing of Primarchs have a mom. I wrote about that. But the way that Erda is done in the books, well, actually, sorry, book 1 particular, because she only came out once for one scene. She isn't properly built up. There is no mention of her in any of the books before. She's a complete asshole, where apparently she's the third oldest. She's the third oldest perpetual, who is also the third most powerful psyker. And apparently she had a sexual relationship with the Emperor. And even though she threw the Primarchs into the warp because, oh, Emperor mean, the Emperor did nothing to reprimand her or hurt her or even lash out, even though a few sentences before she said that the Emperor is a tyrant, he is a vengeful person. If you were to go against him, he would not hesitate to slaughter you. But yet, he didn't do anything to her, even though she fucked up everything royally. There is no proper build-up to her. She has no characterization. And the only characterization I can think of is vengeful 40 Karen, but that's it. As a person, she's not even a person. She doesn't have any motivations beyond, oh, I love my son, so I'm going to throw them into hell, which is stupid.
It's like
oh, God.
like if Conrad or Angron were to like learn what Z did, it's like all of their pain and suffering happened because of her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it also seems like I haven't read the book, but it's like it seems to be one of those cases where maybe they had a neat idea that they could have maybe explored, like that. I kind of find that interesting that the Emperor had like a wife of some kind, but it was done poorly, very poorly.
Mm-hmm. Again, there's no build-up. There's no like even small mention of her anywhere, which is okay. I know I'm gonna shill for my story, but in Messages for Dad, we were very careful to leave little hints and little errant thoughts in the Emperor and everything that he did. He was always thinking, did I make the right decision? What would she think about this? And we're always slowly building up to he has someone that he left behind. He's not sure if he made the right decision, who he might have feelings for. And eventually when we actually do meet her, we see that there's a whole bigger plot behind them. But with Erda, she just plopped down, she says her piece, and then just dematerializes, I guess.
Yeah, because at least in like the book, Valdor, I believe that's what the book's called. At least with that book, when we see all the little glimpse of the character, what's her name? Arma Astardi?
Astardi, yes.
Yeah, it's like, you could say that if they cut out that character and never mention her, it could change nothing. But with a character like her, it's like or at least how I believe, is like they've done the character well, or at least in my interpretation. And it's very interesting to see the process of how they made the Space Marine. And it was done by this, maybe not one person, but like a team. And I did kind of like find a cool fact that they named the Space Marines after her. Cause like that is still something people do today, name inventions and science theories after their creators. Mm-hmm. So that was like a little fun thing to explore with that book. But yeah, they've done her well, I believe. But after hearing all this about Erda, it's like, again, they had a cool idea, but it done very poorly. Mm-hmm. And before we move on, what is your like opinion on Astardi?
I like the character. I thought it was actually a pretty fun character to read about. I mean, I kind of didn't really agree with the whole thing at the end of like, oh, war bad, because this is a setting of where war is necessary.
Then again, I think you could say too that she believes the Astardis weren't ready yet, and that they were like a rushed product.
And they most definitely were.
Yeah, they definitely are. It's like, we're literally turning humans into something that goes beyond humanity. Like something that we cannot relate to at all.
Exactly.
It's like humans can relate to Primarchs, because in a way, Primarchs are humans in a way. They're superhumans. Well, superhumans. But they still have like the mentality and like the relationship of a human for the most part, like maybe with the exception of like one or two Primarchs. But with Space Marines, they're not humans. They're more like science experiments.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Yeah, being a Space Marine, it's not like becoming a Captain America sort of superhero or like a Spartan. You're literally being turned into like a glorified piece of machinery. Or a glorified war gear.
Astartes, when they're being turned into Astartes, they're literally being torn apart and having all these different things being put inside of them while they're awake and watching. They go through some of the most grueling things possible just to reach the potential of even being what they want.
Yeah, and even then, it's like whatever element of humanity they had left has been gone for like centuries almost. But moving on with these questions. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
What introduced you to the Warhammer community?
Oh, very easy. My fiance.
Yeah, I heard a story once on Twitter. You were saying something that he introduced you to Texas Speech, if I'm right.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly what happened. I'm still going through my 4chan phase, but I used to be on 4chan like 12 to 14 hours a day. And there are quite a few boards where they use reaction images and memes that were just based off of Warhammer. And me just being like, oh, that looks kind of cool. I'm not going to look it up. Fuck that. Because the whole golden rule of all of 4chan is sometimes digging too deep is a bad idea.
Off topic, I think 1D4chan, that is like a separate website.
Mm-hmm.
If you want like a sort of wiki page that's almost close to like the humor and style of Texas Speech, I would say it's that site.
Yes, 1D4chan is a lot of fun to look up things on. There's just so much humor, and there's all the different links to different other things. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But back to the point. I eventually met my fiance, and he was going on and on and on about, oh my god, look at this show. It's called Texas Speech Device. It's about Warhammer 40k. No, come on. It looks cool. Come on. I want you to watch this with me. No. Come on. Try it. No. Try it! And then eventually, just to spite him, I started watching it by myself without telling him. And when he found out, he's like, are you watching it without me? Yes. Do you really like it? Yes.
So do you watch it chronologically, like 1 to the current episode that was at or around that time?
Yeah, I watched all the episodes of Texas Speech Device.
Yeah.
Something funny happened. It's just when I first got into the fandom, my fiance was like, don't worry, honey. You can ask me any question and I will answer them. I know a lot about the fandom. I know a lot about the lore.
And now you know more lore than he does.
Yeah. I know way more lore than he does. And he's like, wait, hold on. That's actually a thing? Yeah, it's actually a thing.
And during this podcast, I'm learning a lot more about like Elder Scrolls and a lot more about like the Horus Heresy than before. And I think my very first Texas Speech episode was the very first like Ask Me Questions video.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like the Emperor was like, I had no experience with Texas Speech before I watched that video. Like I was in the like middle end of the 40k pool, so I knew what I was basically in the fan base, or I loved Warhammer before going to the series. But in the very first like Ask Me Questions video, when the Emperor was going on about how he wanted to try to help mankind and try to bring them to perfection, and when he got all these questions, he's like, holy shit, what has happened to mankind?
Yeah.
And being asked all these ridiculous questions, people that the kind of realistic questions that people would ask you on like YouTube, but it's like, why Kron love ponies?
Yeah. That's actually a funny little study on the human condition. Humanity is a gigantic group of little shitlords. We have not changed since humanity was around about a couple of thousand years ago. We're exactly the same as we were then.
We're all apes, but we have less hair.
Yeah, pretty much. Funny thing is, if you actually do look into Roman carving, old Nordic runes, especially when they're graffitied on really old buildings, if you were to actually learn what they actually say, you're like, oh my god, I could definitely see someone now writing that. Like there's this building with like this old Nordic runes on the ceiling, and people haven't been able to get up there. And then just recently they were able to finally get up there, and they were starting to read the runes. They're thinking, oh my god, this must be like some type of really a well kept secret, or maybe there's some type of knowledge that they were trying to hide. Want to know what it said?
What did it say?
It's really high up here.
Ultimate trolls.
Humanity will not ever change. And with humanity sending in letters to the Emperor for him to answer, I can definitely see them saying those exact same letters.
Hey, Emperor, is it the reason why you didn't strike down your son Horus is because you had sexual feelings for him?
Oh my god, that was terrible.
Emperor, what do you think of the Tau? I don't know what that is.
I do not know what that is.
Yeah, he learns all this stuff about 40k, and it's like, why did you do that? Why are you wasting resources like this way? Don't you know that space is 3-dimensional? Why are you fighting on even plane? But,
And that's not... the whole reason why we're actually fighting on a whole even plane is because it's actually a gravity issue thing.
Oh, with space?
Yeah, with spacing. Yeah, sure, space is 3D, and it does go into all different directions, but it's actually kind of still on a flat plane.
Really?
Everything is still kind of like on the surface of like a great ocean. Think of it like that. Just kind of floating around. It takes a lot of effort to go upwards, or think of it like the z-axis. The z-axis. It takes a lot of effort going upwards, but that would also mean that there's a lot more gravity and pressure that is trying to force you back onto the middle plane. While going downwards, there's a lot of pressure trying to bring you back up.
It's like that. It's like that with space.
Yes.
Oh, that's very interesting. And, I actually do feel like Joe Rogan being told all the smart stuff, and he goes, "Wow,
wow."
Hey Jimmy, play that video of a Komodo dragon eating a monkey. Boom! That's crazy. Here's a fun little question that I've been hoping to ask you. This one's from None of Your Business. That's literally the guy's Twitter. Ask her, I'm going to use a voice for this because it's my podcast. I can do what I want.
Oh, yeah.
Here's my voice. Ask her why she's wrong about the Tau. Let me start again. Ask her why she's wrong about big Tau titty. I'm
not wrong. Tau do not have big mommy milkers. They have big old thick thighs. Because
why
the
not
reason
both?
why is because that they have hooves, and they need to be balancing on those hooves at all time, which would actually lead to them having much more muscular legs.
Why are you applying science to 40k, Dusky? What's scientifically accurate about 40k? Be honest with me. What's scientifically accurate?
There has to be some sense. We can't always say the warp did it to explain things.
Most of the time, it's not the warp explain things. It's like if we're applying that, it's like Titans wouldn't exist because gravity would literally crush them or knock them down.
They have anti-gravity machines that are actually kind of taking off the pressure off of the giant robot parts, so that they can actually work.
Jesus Christ! Jesus fuck. Okay, so you can accept that there's churches on like tanks or spaceships, but not big titty Tau GF.
No. There are no big titty Tau girlfriends. You're going to enjoy your thick thigh Tau girlfriends and your big titty emperor icons, alright?
Jesus fuck. Well, it's a year of the cow. You can't stop them from making fun art, Dusky.
I can tell them they're wrong.
Guys, stop making big Tau titties. It's not canon.
Implying I would say it like that.
Oh no, you would say it like this. Hey guys, welcome to in an alternate universe if you were a guy. In an alternate universe if you were a guy, you'd be like, hey guys, welcome to Duskman here. Welcome back to a brand new Warhammer 40k Kill Team campaign.
I have taken the liberty to grind away all of the big Tau titties on all of my models because Games Workshop, you know that the big titty Tau models are not actually canon.
No, you would go something like, guys, I just hate the Tau because, they're just bad. They're not grim dark. Alright? It's like, I see Tao art on Twitter, and it's not canon, guys. Come on. Be a real wargamer.
But for real though, I am in an eternal deadlock with Sexual Yeti, and he keeps on saying, Tao had big titties, and I keep on telling him, Tao, how big titties.
Why not both, just to be happy, okay?
No. I am a Latina, and when I put my feet down into an issue, I refuse to compromise.
Oh, Jesus. That sounds realistic, too.
Yeah, I'm stubborn as shit, man.
Yeah,
I mean, I once waited 8 years for someone to update their fanfiction.
Did it get updated?
Yeah, it updated, and it was great. I can't wait to wait another 8 years to read the next chapter.
Okay. Yeah, my dad's Italian, so if things don't go his way, he'll make a noise until we all go, okay, fine. Like, oh, guys, where's my shoes? It's like, oh, here they are. My parents actually watch my podcasts, so I'm afraid of getting yelled at later.
Hey, bobbity boobity, bibbity bobbity gooby, spaghetti noises.
Maybe I'll just tell you the story. Maybe I'll edit out. But whenever I visit my nonos, that's a time for like grandpa, right? Whenever we visit his house, he would go, "Hey, Lois, hey, how's it going? Hey, I get you ginger ale, I get you cookies."
I love it.
Yeah. Hey,
my
guys,
grandma is Mexican as shit.
Taco Tuesday.
Tacos all the time. And when it's the winter months, hey, come on over. We're gonna be making pan de polvo. Awesome, pan de polvo.
Yeah, my nonna would make excellent spaghetti. It was excellent.
Yeah.
It's very good spaghetti. It's actually really good.
Oh my god, and the tamales. Tamales for months.
Yeah. But moving on with these questions before I get canceled by my parents.
Okay.
Just a few more. We're almost there. How the Mechanicus cats were formed? That's the question. All right.
Well,
I think it was meant to be like. Sorry.
Mechanic cats became a thing because I like cats. I like the Mechanicus, even though they're a bunch of little shitlords. And I thought, let's put them together. Because, of course, the robot Martian men and women would like little asshole furballs who somehow know the will of the Omnissiah.
Yeah.
Also, I saw a picture of like a Mechanicus guy feeding a little Mechanic Cat spaghetti, and I thought, oh my god, that's cute.
It's like that Mechanicus priest in the Marnius Calgar comic books. He would be like one of those really nervous cats, I would say.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Then on your timeline you posted like him and Calgar in a relationship, and it's like, why did you ruin my day? Dude, I do not want to see art that way, guys. Leave me alone.
No, you're going to see it.
Moving on, I guess.
Yeah. Which
Primarch is the best cook?
Okay, that's a debate I've had with Mina a few times. we always come down to like this whole thing. I've also gotten into this conversation with a few people who really love Primarchs and roleplay as them. I'm on Twitter. Robite is Italian as fuck, and he will make you the best bowl of spaghetti you have ever eaten in your life.
I would think it would be Ferris, though. That would be the more on.
Ferris ate sand, man.
I would think he would be more Italian than Gilman.
No, Ferris is more Greek.
Yeah, I guess through 1D4chan, they mentioned he was Italian, I think, so that's why I always have the idea that he's like some tanned guy.
I mean, Robite is based off of the Romans, and Rome is in Italy.
But Romans aren't Italians, that's a difference. There's a difference.
whatever. But then again, Rogel Dorn in canon actually does cook.
What does he cook?
Well, he actually makes like lots of meat dishes. He actually makes very well balanced meals.
Yeah,
it's actually kind of funny.
He's one of those guys that plans out every single little thing known to man. He's OCD as fuck.
Mm-hmm. I am Rogel Dorn, and I will make myself the biggest barbecue pit in the galaxy, and I will grill for years on end.
Yes, phallic individual, it is I, Rogel Dorn. Didn't you die on trying to stop a Black Crusade? No.
No.
What happened? I survived. How? By being dead. And pretend.
But yeah, Robite would be really good at cooking. Rogel in canon is also great at cooking. And I am thoroughly convinced Corvus Corax knows how to cook.
But it's probably
and not just cooking, he's great at baking, because baking is a science.
I would think he'll make some kind of edgy goth food, maybe. Not even goth food, like emo food. I don't even know what emos would eat.
I don't know, darkness and despair?
Yeah, maybe in a summer camp, I bet he would be one of those kids that'll be asked, so, Corax, what would be your, what fruit would you be, Corax? And he would go, I would be a tomato because no one wants to accept me in the group.
But no, Corvus Corax bakes. I will die on this hill, and you know what? He makes some bitchin' ass spinach puffs.
My sister can make really good carrot cakes, so.
Yeah! So yeah, Gilliman, Rogel, Corvus, and begrudgingly, I will have to say, Lorgar. Because you know what? I have a headcanon that Lorgar is Mexican.
That's something that's imprinted into my mind now, and I'm willing to believe that.
Yeah, seriously. I mean, like, Colchis, they actually do have tortillas that are actually a part of their food. They have really colorful buildings, which actually reminds me a lot of the Pueblos. They're also based off of Catholicism. And do you know who is the largest group of Catholics in the world?
Mexicans?
Yes! So many Hispanics and Mexicans are Catholic. So many Catholics are fucking Mexican, man.
And I guess there's a reason why they were buddies with the Irish at that one battle.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told
now. You know what? Yeah, you know what? Fucking word bearers and Colchis and Lorgar are Mexican, and you cannot tell me otherwise.
Yeah, that's my little headcanon now, so.
Yeah.
And heck, maybe if I were to get his mom, maybe I'll give him like a brown hue to his skin. Yes, I know not all Mexicans are brownish. I know, guys, don't cancel me. That was a joke. That was a joke. Please.
Yeah, nah, fam. When it comes to the Hispanic community, we're all the colors of the fucking rainbow.
And, moving on, I guess.
Yeah, moving on.
But before I ask this question, I guess you're also a fan of Bionicle?
I know of Bionicle.
Yeah, so here's this question. Which Bionicle generation do you like the most, and which one is your favorite?
I know of Bionicle. I don't know any about generations or all of that, okay?
I don't remember the name, or I can't pronounce it right, but there was this one generation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it was called Roakai. I think that was the name. There were like these big chin sort of Bionicles, like big chin Bionicle monsters, you could say. And there was actually a game that you could play with them on GameCube, right? Mm-hmm. And that was one of my favorite little games. And that was kind of like the Bionicle generation that stuck to me the most because of how neat they look. I'll probably even post pictures on this on the eventual podcast when I'm editing this all together.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm probably making I'm gonna probably make your life hell with all the little voices that I do of, especially with the whole little minis in the background saying Jarvis.
Why can't you just be normal, Dusky? Read!
Ow!
But I think we have reached the last question. This is going to be fun. Is the mighty emperor a sugar daddy?
Oh, yes.
To me, I wouldn't say so. I would think maybe, again, because of Gilman is a DILF, I'm thinking he would be. Because in my little headcanon, right, Gilman is like in his, if we were to use like human age numbers, right, I think he would be in his like 50s. Maybe early 60s at best. Just be early 60s.
No, Gilliman is more like early to mid 40s.
Yeah, but that's not really middle age. I'm thinking he would be like 55 when he's starting to gray. Because 30k Gilman will be probably in his 30s. In my headcanon.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Euphrain now. CB, his 25-year-old intern. As like massive business.
Yes.
As like massive. Basically, Lore Olympus 30k.
Yes. Also, what the hell was the question again?
Is the mighty emperor a sugar daddy?
Yeah, he is.
You know, considering
the emperor is a sugar daddy.
Considering how he is, I wouldn't be surprised that he doesn't hold an actual relationship.
I mean, who would actually have the patience to deal with his shit for thousands and thousands and thousands of years?
Yeah, because like either he's right or nothing happens. Like, guys, I have this plan. We're doing this way. You're obviously wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, well, you don't have to stay here if you don't like my ideas.
Listen, I own the house. If you don't like it, you can get out.
Well, I can't get out because I can't afford any living space right now. And no one's going to be in the same position to get a house for a long time, dude.
Well, guess you just gotta live under my rules.
But with all that, I think we've answered all of the questions, and I think we've also reached the end of this podcast. Is there anything you want to say? Oh, is there anything? Sorry. Is there anything you would like to say before we conclude the show?
Yeah, I just want to say that since Messages for Dad is now on hiatus because we finished Act 1, Showtime and I are actually working with a group of other writers, and we're actually in the middle of making an alternate heresy with all 20 new prime arcs, new legions, new heraldry, histories, and to start it all off, we're actually writing a novel right now for it.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool. Are you going to like self-publish this or something?
No, we're just gonna pull into a Google Doc and just kind of release it to the public.
Oh, that sounds really fun, actually.
Yeah. Currently, right now, it's about 40,000 words long. It's not nearly done. But currently, right now, the first 3 chapters we finally finished, and we released it to the rest of the writers group. And we're currently now all kind of like punching it in the face and getting out all of the kinks.
Well, that sounds really cool and a whole lot of fun, and I can't wait to eventually download this, because it sounds like a cool story.
Thank you.
But with all said and done, thank you, Dusky, for coming onto the show. I had a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun being here. I hope I was able to entertain you.
You honestly did, and I can't wait to bring you back on the show down the line, because I want to be entertained more.
Yes.
Life is short, so let's make it fun.
All right. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. I am known as that fucking cat.
And with all said and done, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next week with a brand new video. Have an excellent day, guys.
Bye-bye.